So first of all, welcome to the show, Vinny. Thank you for coming on a busy weekday. I know it's a busy day for you, but thank you for joining. And thank you folks for joining on a Tuesday evening, India time, Tuesday morning, US time. It's a work day, I understand. It's a work evening in India. So I appreciate all of you joining. We have a special session today. Normally we have these sessions on Sundays, but this time to celebrate International Women's Day, we're doing it on Tuesday, the 8th of March. So what I'll do is I'll do the usual customary quick presentation so people know what we are talking about and some basic homekeeping rules, and then we'll go from there. So please stay muted during the during the session, and please turn off your video. The entire session is recorded. The recording will be available in our public YouTube channel, CEG Connect. We used to put those videos in our portal before, but now we have decided to put it in the public YouTube channel so anybody can access the YouTube channel and watch the videos of this session as well as all the previous sessions as well. We'd like you to use Slido to ask your questions. For those of you who are not familiar with Slido, I'll just walk you through really quick in the next couple of slides. There will be also periodic live polls in Slido where we'll be posting questions to get a real-time audience feedback on the various questions we're going to put in the poll. So please participate in the poll. We would like to get your feedback real time as the program goes on. And during the question and answers, if your name is called, please unmute. You can also use Slido for responding to the polls as well as to ask questions ahead of time. The questions will queue up here. I can see it, Minnie can see it, everybody can see it. And we will ask the questions in the order it's received. If there are multiple questions of the same type from different people, then I'll ask the question on all your behalf. If it's a unique question, then I will request the person who's asking the question to unmute and ask the question themselves. Okay. So today's session, Ms. Mini Suri is our special guest. She's a co-founder and CEO of Velmeni. I think all of you have seen her bio that I posted in the invite. She doesn't need any introduction. She's a very famous person in the US. Of course, I'll be the host, and Partha, my friend, is going to be my tech support. So to join Slido, just go to slido.com, either on your laptop, desktop, handheld, or tablet, and then type slido.com. Once you get into the portal, just type 306172 as the code inside the Slido. So it'll look like this. Once you type that, you'll get to the screen where you have the Q&A tab and the polls tab. In the Q&A tab, you can start asking questions, and in the polls tab, you can respond to the poll questions that I'm going to post. Okay. Now, what we're going to do today is special because it's International Women's Day. We're going to play a short video tribute, which I posted in all the social media channels about half an hour ago. This is a CEG Connects special video tribute to celebrate International Women's Day and celebrate all the CEG women alumni and the CEG girl students and CEG women faculty. So let's start the video now.
want love, it's torture. Don't say I didn't, say I didn't warn you. So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames. You can tell me when it's over. I was worth the pain. I've got a long list of ex-lovers. They'll tell you I'm insane. 'Cause you know I love the players, and you love the game. Take this way too far. It'll leave you breathless. Oh, it's a nasty scar. Got a long list of ex-lovers. They'll tell you I'm insane, but I've got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name.
Okay. How was that?
Very, very impressive.
So, see, number of people.
Thank you for compiling that. I feel so honored.
Yes, it's amazing bunch of people actually, I had to say. So I'm going to stop presenting now. Okay, so now we're going to get to the call. So Mini, what we're going to do is that we're just going to start with a little monologue from you, if you will, for about 10 minutes or so. Just talk about your journey from the time you left CEG in 1990 to where you are now, focusing more on the significant points, learnings, etc. And any advice you want to give. There are few alumni and girl students and others also in the call today. A lot more will be watching the video later on in the recording. So you're addressing a larger audience, not just people in front of you right now. So please take it away, and 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes maximum, please. Thanks.
Sounds good, Vish. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here on this forum talking to everyone, whether it's your alumni or you are students in CEG. It's always pleasure to go back to your alma mater. However, I will say my journey started to CEG, which is very important. I grew up in north of India. And for me at that time in late 80s or 90s, you can say, to travel from north of India to south of India was very interesting. And I must say that was one leap that I took, obviously changed my life. What I learned, obviously language was a challenge between north and south of India. I did not know any of the South Indian languages. The culture was very different. So learning and imbibing a different culture was amazing. I must say that was my first learning of being very open to surviving or basically, I would say being open to a different culture, different understanding. And I learned so much. That was not just being there for doing an engineering, but also understanding what Chennai or Madras at that time had to offer. So that was one. Second was, obviously you are a large fish in your school system, and now you are with so many whales in swimming in the same ocean, right? Met some incredible minds, and that was another learning that I had. Third thing is, when I walked into CEG, everyone was obviously ready and were preparing hard, because at that time people used to go into this mode of getting admissions abroad, and I joined the bandwagon. So finished my engineering. I told my dad, I'm not staying in India. I am going to the US to do my master's. And to be honest, in my family, I was the first women engineer, and also the first women engineer who wanted to go abroad and do her master's and settle abroad. So it took my dad and my mom both being very supportive of us. Obviously, agreed and said, but there's only one condition, is that you get married and then you go. And then my answer was, okay, find the guy who will just support me and let me go to the US. So so I was not willing to bend. I wanted to make sure that my journey to finish my master's and have my own career was very, very important. And I was very clear about it. So interestingly, I met my husband who was in the US, agreed that he was very happy that I was pursuing the path of doing my master's and have my own career. So eventually things worked out well, and I was here, did my master's in information technology from NJIT. And interestingly, the first person when I walked in was my classmate from CEG. And that was the best part, because guess what? In a foreign land, you meet your CEG classmate. I don't think so. You can imagine the kind of the you know the area where basically we both kind of hugged each other, and we knew that I knew I would survive in my masters. So after my masters, I joined Citigroup financial services. Obviously, being in New Jersey, New York was the hub for financial services. Wall Street was there, and we all wanted to make an impact in Wall Street. So I joined Citi um, on the technology side, supporting financial services, but always on the niche technology. So basically, I very quickly became the entire domain lead for all the imaging, content management, electronic signatures. All that domain came under me. So I was building very large systems for Citi and Citi businesses. Citi was an academia, learned so many technologies. We used to joke around, the West Coast basically builds the software to serve the East Coast. And every vendor possible on the planet, we knew we were working with. So it was a great, great experience. I didn't know where my 20 years flew. Raising my kids, getting the daily challenges was fun. But while I was doing that, I really got involved in women's leadership at Citi. We found very few women, if you see, and there would be time when I would be the only woman in a room with 60 men engineers. So we had to make sure that we had enough women representation in financial services. I actually became chair for Women of Warren, which was one of the very large, I would say, location for Citi, and we did a tremendous amount of work helping women sort of have the support, the network, learnings, being there for each other. We organized various workshops and also invited a lot of leadership, both male and female leaderships, to come and talk to women in Citi. So we also did a lot of work for girls outside Citi. So I did spend a lot of time in developing women's program at Citi, which was my passion. The other thing that I was very passionate about was STEM and STEM programs, especially for young girls. So I was very involved with FIRST Robotics. Wherever I would get time to actually go judging on the world championships, regional championships, helping team come and present to Citi teams and have Citi teams help the STEM team. So that was really a lot of fun. Life was amazing while at Citi, doing raising my kids. But I knew I had reached a glass ceiling. 2014, I just felt that I needed to do something more. And I remember sitting in my CTO's office, and I just told him that I need more challenge. And somehow came out of his office, and I don't know what I pressed. I basically must have probably invited MIT, and before I knew, I was getting calls from MIT and Columbia for MBA. And I chose MIT because that was the school that I always wanted to go. And when I went for my interviews and so on, and I knew that was my school to be. Interestingly, when I walked into MIT, the same person I had met at NJIT, I saw her over at MIT. So can you imagine? She was my trailblazer, Priya Ramanathan, or Priya Iyer now. And interestingly, MIT obviously makes you unsettled. I came back to Citi and I said, look, I'm not going to be doing what I am doing. Either you change my role or I leave Citi. However, my CTO, now he's the CTO of Intel, Greg Lavender, said, why don't you lead the whole AI, conversational AI space for Citi? That was what the board of Citi wanted at that time. And I said, well, I'll be happy to do that. Didn't know what I was landing up in, and basically built the whole strategy for entire Citi on the conversational AI side, implemented it, and also worked on the various other AI ML programs within Citi. 2018, I was approached by Uber to join them as head of intelligent automation and build the whole automation space and in the conversational space and so on. And I had only 3 days to decide. And here I'm in a very well settled life. Did my MBA, got an amazing position at Citi, leading this, reporting to very, very senior executives. And here comes Uber. um, and the thing is, I knew that was my calling. I had done what I had done at Citi and needed to move. So within 2 days, I had to make my decision. Obviously, my kids were very supportive. My husband was amazingly supportive. Picked up my two bags, moved from East Coast to West Coast, uh, and rolled up my sleeves because I knew I had to be near the leadership, because if I had to make an impact for Uber, it made sense for me to be in the West Coast. And I took my apartment next to the Uber's headquarters, so I could just literally roll out and be in the office. Within 2 months, I had to build the whole strategy for Dara on the automation for Uber. Was very interesting, very challenging experience. Worked with, basically met the entire leadership team at Uber, and we presented. And I remember Dara saying, "What do you need from me?" And I said, "Look, we do want to make sure that we are able to expand across Uber." And he said, "You do have my backing." So that was very interesting. I stayed with Uber I came at pre-IPO, saw the IPO at Uber, which was a lifetime memory. And then post Uber, I did get an offer to join an AI product company. And I thought to myself, look, I've not been a part of product company. I've been part of a very large bank. We built product internally, or we did roll out large systems internally. And then I was with Uber. And now I got a chance to see a product company a lot more closely. So I joined as a chief customer success officer with 100 plus customers, and also the delivery implementation part of came under me. So almost one third of the company. Now I was on the other side of the table. Before that, vendors used to come to me, and now I was a vendor. So we switched the side of the table, and it was honestly an experience. It really helped me learn so much what it is to hear and understand. And I could relate very well because I had been in that shoes. So having that listening ear, having that empathy, having understanding the problem, the customer problem, building the trust, delivering to what you promise as much as you can, or at least be there. Whether it was 3 a.m. in the morning or 5 p.m. in the night evening, or I spanned the entire globe, so I had customers all over. But building a strong team, that was the other thing that I had to do very, very quickly. That was, I think, I got the taste what agility is. Actually, I must say, I got the taste at Uber what agility is. And then obviously with KORE, it was to the next level. Then in June of last year, I did get a chance to step up my game to be a CEO and co-founder of Velmeni, which is a health tech AI company with dental as a first domain. And now I thought to myself, look, it's a very small startup. A lot of people said you're going to be starting from, literally of building the team, and it's almost like switching on the lights. Um, e- and I did have, to be honest, a lot of opportunities that I could move with my position to a very senior role, in a more mature startup. And I thought to myself, and I said, look, I haven't done this. I got to do this. So 6 months or 7 months back, I joined Velmini, built a very strong management team. We have a very strong domain team. Um, this is one area where I had to learn how to be a CEO while I was a CEO. It was a very interesting journey, I must say. But what really happened was all these years of experience, I think that kind of played into where I was and where I am. My mentors, my close friends, and people I had connected and networked, really helped me. Um, uh, and I must say, Thai was very instrumental. I actually joined board of Thai in 2021, but I got associated with Thai Silicon Valley in 2019 as a chair of AI ML track for ThaiCon. I must say, I met one of the smartest brains, but very humble people who were all willing to make an impact into a life of an entrepreneur. The advice that I got from them when I became a CEO is take your time, go spend 30 minutes talking to different people in this network and learn from them what it was for them when they stepped in as a CEO, what were their learnings. And I think that was the best advice I got. I actually spent almost a month talking to different people, understanding, learning from them. So basically, Velmini, or this entrepreneurship, that journey that I have embarked on, it's a roller coaster. There are days which are extremely good, and there are days that are not so good. However, it just has taught me to take life as it comes, take challenges as it comes, and also, I think as long as you keep in mind that this is about building a company that is going to have an impact, and that is very key for me, and that motivates me every morning when I get up. What impact am I going to make through Velmini? Am I going to make a future of dentistry, dental first, as I said? Am I going to make a change in that, which means I'm going to make life better for the dentist? Am I making life better for the patients, with better patient outcomes? So every single day, making an impact, helping my dental customers, and building a platform that could be a scalable platform. That's something that is what I want to leave behind as a legacy. While doing all this, I am very, I do believe in giving back to the community. I also sit on the board of Knowledge Fund, which is the CEG Knowledge Fund started by our batch 1990, where we are supporting about 40 plus students now, with their end-to-end scholarship that we provide. So I do like to make an impact there, though my team is very, very dedicated there. And also being part of other non-for-profit boards. Education is a big part that I feel we need to give back to the community, and also into a lot of women, I would say, women initiatives where women education is definitely very important for me. So right now, at with with Thai Silicon Valley, our charter is how to support young entrepreneurs, how to support women entrepreneurs, how do we put the programs together where we can really help first time CEOs, first time entrepreneurs, what we can do to give them that support system. So this is what my journey in nutshell in 20 minutes. Hopefully I wish.
Yeah, so far so good. Thanks for that introduction, Mini. Uh, I think what we want to do now is to try and open up the forum for questions. I'll start with a question on my side. During the Silicon Valley board member of Thai Silicon Valley, uh, how do you manage the time between your day job and time with Thai Silicon Valley? Obviously, it's a very big responsibility to be a board member of Thai, the two in Silicon Valley of all places. I've been there in that position in Chennai, and I know it's not very easy to manage that with the day job. I just wanted to get your thoughts on how Thai Silicon Valley works with you in terms of utilizing your skills and expertise while giving you time to do your work as well.
Yeah, and that's an excellent question, Vish. Um, Look, Thai is my love at first sight. I always say that. When I met, and I must say, my great mentor Vish Mishra from Thai, obviously plays a very important role, in being my mentor as well as guiding me all along. However, I must say that because if you have a passion, as I said, for me, it's not working, as I said, 20 hours. If I'm working on my day job, I know I do need some time for Thai. Yeah, so we basically, what we do, we are a great network of people, right? We are basically looking to build programs. Now, it's not just one person, we all bring our own strengths here. So working as a team, sometimes working with different people to, for example, right now, AI ML track, right? That is one of the most sought out track, and I'm so proud that I lead that. And I usually have a co-chair and I have advisors and some A-class people that are working with me. So we're building the track. I'm talking to different people, talking to the CEO of different companies. We're building them out. So the point is, yes, it is sometimes challenging, but I think if I'm sort of look to manage my time. Weekends are good time when I dedicate to Thai. Usually, I try to pick up all my work on the stuff on the weekends, get the meetings organized. Just try to balance my time between this and my work. It is a little challenging right now, especially because my company is in a super, we are starting up. So much is happening that sometimes I feel that it becomes a little bit challenging. But however, I think so far I've been doing okay.
Okay, thank you. So there are a couple of questions that have come. Somebody has posted the question in the different area, but that's okay. The question is, I'm not sure who posted the question. How is the transition from I think from a Citi to Uber, a big corporation to a startup? How was that like? Is a question I think.
Yeah, that's a really a very good question. Um, so you're coming from a old 100-year-old, well settled, large organization, and now you come to Uber. You're you're actually working with very young people. You're working with the speed and scale that it's hard to tell until you're in there. People work very smartly and very fast, and the scale of Uber is like if they ideate something within a month, it's going into market, and then not just one market, it's just market after market after market. So things move very quickly. So and first of all, the biggest challenge I had to do was to pick up G Suite. I was an Outlook, Microsoft, and now it was like G Suite. That was my biggest challenge. However, I must say, I actually built a very team with very young people. There were a lot of skill sets that I got out of them. However, I also feel that the experience, the knowledge, the breadth, the width that we bring from that enterprise level was also much needed. And I think that really helped me build a lot of programs within Uber while I was building my team and my platform and my infra, that almost like, let's say, from risk and controls and these kind of things, which uh, people are still hearing about it, and we've done it. It's in our DNA. So when we build this and people say, can you do this for the other departments? So in a way, you bring, it's sort of like you bring a lot of experience, a lot of scale, which is also what's required, and also you're learning the agility and swiftness and shortcuts, and you don't need to do the hard work. And wherever the time, wherever, it was a very interesting thing at Uber. If somebody was taking too much time, they would openly say, you're taking too much time, we need to move. And that was a code, that was something that we had to understand with each other. We could not take more than that. Our ETAs, our time to deliver, was lot faster compared to City. So again, a very interesting experience. It was only 5 main applications I was dealing versus 500 in City.
Mm,
So
interesting. There are a couple of other questions that have come up. Let me read the question for you. The question that I saw here is, the person doesn't put the name. Is there still a glass ceiling for women in USA? How do you navigate that constraint?
there is, and I must say, in especially, um, it's. I mean, I must say that it is getting better, but it's still not there. So there is a glass ceiling especially when you rise in ranks. The ceiling is something that becomes even tougher. So you definitely have to make sure that you have good network, you do have good representation, you understand. And that's what I tell, and I used to say that in all my women's leadership, sort of, I used to mentor a lot of women, and I still mentor a lot of women, is to look around, see what the other women are. Do not eat alone. Make sure that you have a very clear understanding with your boss or your manager. Your expectations are set correctly, and if your managers basically can make and break your career. And if you think you are in a wrong position, wrong place, please move. Do not be stuck. And that is something I always tell everyone. World, there is so many opportunities out in the world. You can definitely find something for yourself. Yes, even as a CEO position, there is a glass ceiling in a different way. And you have to keep smashing it every single day. So there is challenges. And at the same time, I must say that there's also advantage. I cannot always say there's always challenge, but you have to see that challenge and make it as an advantage too. To me, I always said that I did have tough times, but I also found men who supported me. So as they say, there's a successful behind a successful man, there's a woman behind. I would say there's always successful men. Behind a successful woman, there are some great women, great men too. So in my case, I also had a lot of mentors who helped me, guided me, spoke in the room when I was not there. So I think it's very important you do leverage all that. And the other thing is, there's the now going and sorting out those mentorships, is it's you LinkedIn is full. If you try to reach out to people and say, I need to talk to you for 10-15 minutes, people are a lot more open. COVID has done something good here. We can get on the Zoom very quickly. We don't have to meet people in person. They're happy to do a Zoom chat with you in 15 minutes. I usually spend my weekends talking to people, talking to young people, talking to my people that I want to connect. So I think you should leverage that, and use that to your full advantage.
Yeah. Couple of things I want to ask you regarding startup. Now, you obviously started out on your own much later in your career after working in big corporations. A lot of people who ask questions in India, particularly young men and women, the question is, should I consider working for some time and then do my own startup, or given the hype around startups, should I just get in before it is too late? This is a question I get a lot from young students and young alumni all the time, and I have an answer. I want to see what your answer is for that question.
Look, for me, age is no bar. When you are passionate about your idea, that is the time you should be in a startup. If you're not passionate about your idea, please do not. There's no point. If you're going to just forget your idea very next day, then I don't think so. You're ready for startup. If you feel there is something that you just think about it, you're sleeping, you're waking up, that is the idea, that's the problem you want to solve, then you're ready for startup. And
Yeah.
I, to be honest, never believed in age as a bar. Whether I mean, to be honest, when I went for MBA, people asked me, "Are you?" And I know people ask me, "Aren't you 10 years older for MBA?" Was well, I had to raise my kids. I did not have that privilege of going into MBA 10 years earlier, but that's fine. It's not about the age. It's not about the years you have. It's what you make with even that. I think that's what to me is important. What you make the best out of it. People I've seen have been doing what they've been doing for many many years, and they're very happy state in where they are. And there are people who have done what they really want to do, and in a couple years or maybe less have made a lot more impact. So do what your heart says. Do what your calling is. I think that's more important. Wish.
Yeah. Just to give you a sense of people who are on the call, and obviously the startup environment in India is still not as advanced as it is in the US. Quite a lot of regulations are still there, etc. Uh, I presume through TIE, you guys get access to all the activity all over the world. Through what happens to entrepreneurship, what happens to startups all over the world. Uh, for people who are from here, but especially our students and young alumni, they have a hard time identifying people like where do I get my funding from? Where do I get my mentors from? Particularly for girls, I tell you, Minnie, that they're looking for someone to be a role model. Uh, and the sad fact is we don't have enough of them. We do have a incubator in campus now through the Atal mission. We also have a entrepreneurship development center inside the campus as well. We don't have enough mentors there. So one of the questions I ask is that would you be able to use the influencer tie to reach out to people, perhaps not necessarily CEG alums, but even others who might be willing to provide that sort of mentorship for particularly for women students and even any student, but particularly women students. It's a different thing, and I can answer the question to a girl, but I'm going to answer it from my perspective, which isn't going to be exactly what is relevant to them. So what would be your take on that in terms of offering mentoring from Thai or any organizations in the US to our folks here?
Yeah. So, I would say Thai in India is getting very active, I must say, and I actually attend a lot of their events. There is pretty much Thai charter in most of the cities or more prominent cities. That is one way, obviously, to get more involved in Thai and network. If you find a speaker and you find a woman, always network. Second is, I would say, investments in India entrepreneurs or India startup has increased tremendously from past year. Actually, this is very interesting. My company just got funded by investors in India, actually women funds in India.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, I did not know them. I got to know them, or I pursued with them, or I found someone. And the thing is, what's very important with networking is you got to be persistent. You got to be there. You cannot just let it go. One thing I'll tell you, and this is my very, very dear friend who actually told me this advice when I was so new. I used to go to an investor, and when the investor would say, "Sorry, Minnie, we can't invest in your company," I used to just keep quiet. But the problem is that doesn't mean the door's closed. That means every month, be persistent and show them the progress. And it so happened these investors came back and they invested in the company. So my point is, there in India right now, all the focus is in India right now. If you think Silicon Valley, a lot of these small, big VCs are all coming into India. India itself is getting very, very active in investing into. So this is your chance, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, we are all there. You can tap into CEG alumni, which you basically had, and we can always keep adding more and more women. As we know, we are all there. Whether it's a WhatsApp group or through LinkedIn, we're all there to help support you.
Right.
But we can always guide you who to go to.
Yeah.
However, I must say that being persistent, look into the network. India is right now the market. As I said, me from US, I got my investments from it.
Okay. So another question on the session from Kaushalya. Kaushalya, can you unmute and ask your question, please?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Really, the session has been very inspiring. Thank you very much. I had one question. Since you have been managing teams all over these years, can you please offer your guidance on the challenges you faced while managing a team? Like you would have had to ensure the team spirit, and you had to ensure that the product was delivered correctly, and at times it's actually important for you to preserve the individuality of your contribution. So how do all those three come to the play at the same time? Can you please guide me?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Pashalya, I've managed a very large team in Citi, obviously built the teams in Uber, Core, and now. One thing I believe I lead by example. So the thing is, I'm with my team, and when we are delivering, I'm with my team. When we're delivering the product, when we are, you got to empower your team. You got to have confidence in your team. You got to support your team. You got to understand your team. And the thing is, I would say I was always I always made sure I had a very diverse team. It was never minds of one kind. I made sure my team had 50-50 parity, whether City did not have, but my team always had 50-50 parity. I always supported women. I knew women would, and I feel that they have their own needs, their family needs, but if their family needs are met, they work, they usually pour their heart out, and they're very, very dedicated. Even now, if you think of it, I have reached a gender parity on my board of Velmeni, which I'm very, very proud. In my advisory board, you'll see a lot of women, and I am actually looking to hire more technical women in Velmeni. And I'm always looking for women to actually step up and join my company and wherever I worked, even when I was at Core or wherever I worked. But however, I must say, I think what was important, I think if you understand and really support your team in a genuine way, your team gives back to you. And this is very important, at least was very important for me. And as I said, I always kept my doors open. Anybody from any level was never a criteria for me. Whether I was a chief customer success officer, anybody had an issue, always had an open door. I always had open door policy. So the thing is, yeah, you basically I feel that if you give to your team gives back multifold, and that's how I led my teams, and that's how I think we all work with that passion. So for me, three things are very important: ethics, integrity, and passion. If you have that, come join me. You have a place for me. If you don't have any of this, then I don't have a room for you. So that's exactly how I operate. Very black and white, no agendas. This is about working, delivering, getting the best thing out. And that's what I tell my team every single day. We got to deliver the best product on the planet.
Thanks, Vinny. There are
Thank
a
you.
couple of other questions there in the line. Let me read the. It's a question from some student about job versus abroad. Whoever it is, can you please unmute and ask your question? Didn't have a name. Okay, let me read the question, Nini. What would be the advice that you would give for CG students aspiring to go to the US for higher studies or for job prospects? What kind of preparations are required? It's a fairly broad question.
It's a very broad question. I think you have to see what you want to do. And I think nowadays the things are very open. Everything is on the internet. I mean, there was time when we had no internet. We used to like, it was like shooting in the dark. We all used to divide our universities, but you guys have access to everything. Now, if you want to go through a master's route, or doing your higher studies, as I heard someone saying, you got to see the programs. The schools really publish their programs very, very openly, and you got to see and you got to make the connection. If possible, if you can talk to someone in that university that you're applying to get a better understanding of what that program. I think it's very helpful. Professors can be now, through emails or other areas, you can reach out to the professors to understand the program. Um, and then jobs, obviously, I think, to me, the world is an oyster right now. You are looking at jobs everywhere. I mean, to me, I have my talent all over the globe, from Europe, from India, from US. So really doesn't matter, because people are reaching out to a good talent. However, you really have to be a good talent. You have to learn what you're doing well, and people, there's a job market, global job market here. So yeah, it's always good to learn. I always believe in education. It only opens your mind. It only broadens your thought process. I mean, if I know at some point I do want to do my PhD, because I do want to learn more, because I'm very passionate about learning. I don't know when I'll get time, but I do want to do that. So yeah, if you're open to learning, absolutely go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I think Tara, you want to ask a question? You have to unmute yourself, Tara.
Okay, hi. Hi everyone, and my name is Haseen Taj. Yes, Tara Taj is also another name. I'm a Citi alumni too, so
Oh,
and
ah,
from India. And Andy Giri, who's on the call, who actually sent this to our CEG group. So thank you, Andy. I so happened to see this, and I said, okay, let me jump in. But let me say thank you very much, Minnie. I think you did a fabulous job, and for the young women out there, I think there is a huge ocean of opportunities. But and I would like to to my women folk, and this is on women, say that honestly, we women, and especially Indian women, let me put one more feeling, have very high work ethics, have very high integrity levels. We don't want to do it wrong. We can't sleep that night if we have gone wrong. I mean, whereas the guy, on the other hand, with all due respect to the men on the room, okay, they may find a way of handling it, which we don't know how to. So I think you've got the same thing with you. It's in your DNA. You've got super ethics. You've got super integrity. Like Minnie said, you've got to build the passion. I think passion is something which we tend to to miss somewhere, and we just are happy with what we are having, and that's something which we need to up the to up the bar on. And once you have the IE and P, like she really put it, right, you've really got it.
yeah.
That's one. And wish you guys all a fabulous Women's Day. And I think thank you, men, for making this happen. Like Minnie said, it can't happen without you guys. And in college, I thank you all. In the workforce, I thank you all. And I think you have to help us really help each other, because I think diversity has is important. You have to understand both ends of the game, and it helps us as an organization. It helps us to grow. And wish you luck. I have moved out of Citi, but I'm now actually finding my ground. Haven't really got my feet back on the ground, really dabbling in several things, like you rightly said, opening up startups, trying my hand on VR, trying my hand on coaching and mentoring. uh, I'm doing many things now, trying to really see what that really calling is. But yes, I do a lot of personal coaching for women, to help them not make same mistakes I made, and not get I don't really want to use bad words, and not get hurt by the wrong bosses that you may probably have. But eventually, I think having a good mentor, networking, keeping in touch, and being positive.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, you had a question?
So wish you
Oh,
guys all the best. Thank you very much, Andy. I want to say thank you, and Minnie. Good luck to you, ma'am. I think you're really doing fabulously well. We'll be happy to support you if you need any help. And we'll definitely give you, a thumbs up for this.
Where
Thank you
where
very
are
much.
you where are you based, Tara?
I'm based in Chennai.
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 Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Super.
Zareen Taj. We are
As-
classmates of J.S. Anand Kumar.
We both
Oh,
classmates.
I see. I
Yes.
see. I see. Now I
He's,
understand. Okay.
and Somasegar. Those are the two flag bearers
I
of
see.
our
I see.
batch.
Okay. 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 Understand. 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 Now I understand.
So
Okay.
my last position was director at Sloan. So, like all women have to leave at some point of time. We have kids, schooling, college. So that was one of the reasons why I moved out of City. And I still give City full marks. It's one of the most beautiful companies. Teaches you, takes you through the fire, and you come out of the fire.
Yeah.
Shining. So all marks to our organizations. And thank you
Superb.
guys.
Good.
Thank you.
Very
Good.
nice.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you,
Okay.
Wish you
Zara.
guys all the best.
Yeah. Thank you. Andy, you had a question?
Okay. Quick question. Appreciate your inspiring words, Mini. Uh, my question is centered around how the students would view this. I have been in my career for about 30 years. I use Salesforce as a practice, and then I have learned some AI out of curiosity, and I can even speak on AI. But how do you pivot from being a finance? First, you did engineering, then you went to finance in Citibank, then you got into deep tech, or at least some kind of tech in Uber, and then you moved into an AI leadership, right? How do you learn to pivot so much, right? I mean, we all did college, expert systems, list, prologue, whatever, right? It's related to AI in some way. But then how do you become a leader of an organization in a very cutting edge technology, serving healthcare, which is also very competitive and very cutting edge? So, how do you learn to pivot
Good
beyond
point.
school?
And yeah, so I was when I joined Citi, I was on the technology and on the engineering side, basically. Uh, and again, one thing at City and being in the central engineering roles, you always had to keep up with the technology. So learning becomes part of it, right? It becomes like anything new comes in the market, you got to get yourself up to date either through certifications or you're learning, self-learning, and so on. When like I still remember Automation Anywhere beta version 1.0 was rolled out to City. So, these vendors that you see have developed and had mark in your organization and you help them develop, right? I still remember Documentum in those days was very small when I was in the whole content management space and FileNet and DocuSign and, all these technologies. So the point is, that definitely the learning becomes part of your sort of DNA, and then there are certain parts that you are not an expert. I mean, I'm not a healthcare expert. I did my certificate. So when I was doing my MBA at Sloan MIT, I also did three other certifications while I was going through. I was a crazy learner, so I did my fintech and I did my healthcare and I did my MBA. I did my analytics because I'm passionate about learning. Even now, I keep taking courses. Over the weekends, basically, I'm learning. I'm all the time learning. So the thing is, yes, there's a lot of advancement that's happening in deep tech. It's not something new, but the models are evolving, algorithms are evolving, and for us to be able to learn and leverage all this, you've got to keep tabs on. And I do have, obviously, not everything I can learn. I do have experts to teach me. That's the other thing, I'm not saying I've become a dentist right now, but I'm getting much better at understanding their jargons. We have really almost 13 dentists working with me day in, day out. Then we have really experts in deep tech, PhD, postdoc students working with us, and you're constantly learning. So that's how I keep up with my learning, either do self-learning, do classes. I have no shame in saying that I don't know this and I need to learn it. I do it. And if I don't I can't do it myself. I have people to teach me and tell me how to how to learn it. So that's how I have been. I have not felt very daunting. People ask me this question: how come you into from financial service to healthcare? I know it's a different domain. I got to put my head in it, and I'll do it. So my nutshell is keep learning, and if that helps,
Yeah,
nobody is perfect. There's no HR learning.
thanks, Mini. The other question in the line from somebody is asking about taking a break from career and raise children and get back. Who can you ask the question yourself, please? I don't know who the name is. Can you see the question, Mini?
No, I
Uh,
can't. See.
okay, let me read the question. Do you think job market is open for women who take break from career to raise their children and get back to work?
Uh, I would say I would say job market is selective in that aspect, or at least I've seen that. I have seen women taking a break and then coming back, and some have been in the mainstream, got into a very, very good position. And I've also seen women who have struggled and also not been able to get the position that they had. So I see both. Now, the thing is, but one thing is, when you take a break and you come back, the good thing is because there are so many online courses that are available that can help you bring up to speed or to the area that you want to focus. And that was never there before. So I think that too, that is an advantage one can take, is to really upskill yourself or reskill yourself and then get into a job market. And right now, I would say job market is very hot, depending on what you're looking for. Especially, I know machine learning, AI, machine learning area is very hot, and there are so many other areas that you think are really hot. And if you can sort of look into the and again, it has to be your passion that you enjoy working, that you are willing to spend your next 5 years when you get back, or 10 years you want to get back and be able to do, then definitely. But I would say take advantage. Online learning is fabulous. If you can't do it, you can always come back and listen to their videos and so on. I take advantage of that when I'm driving, or I have time over the weekend. So I think that's your advantage. If you sort of, I also feel sometimes, I must say that sometimes women also take it easy. They feel, oh, I've tried it and maybe that's it. I think you're going to try a little bit hard. You also have to understand what's the need, where are you applying, and are you really ready to apply? And then use network, find out people who are working in that kind of industry and learn more. Maybe there's something that you may be missing. So what? Ask people, talk to people. And it's really good. And a lot of women, the problem is we do not go and talk to enough people. And that's a big, big, big disadvantage. Men do it all the time. I would say Vish would have talked to 20, 30 people around him and very, very quickly understood what's the requirement. Whereas we women will, like, somebody will come and tell us. No, 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 that doesn't work. We got to be like Vish. We got to be talking to people. So I think that helps.
Never had a problem asking questions or talking though. When you make a career out of talking, it needs a certain amount of skill for that. And I can tell people, my daughters, I tell all the time that I don't think I know much, to be honest, but I make it sound like I know a lot, and that helps a lot, right?
Make it. No?
You know, they say make it a fake it, fake it until you make it, right? So it works very well. But your point is right that people don't feel comfortable uh, interacting with someone they don't know, and particularly if you're in a senior position or if you're in a startup founder, then you have to go interact with a lot of people, and being shy isn't going to be a virtue at the time, definitely.
One
And
thing as an entrepreneur, I must say, you lose all your fear. What is there to lose anymore? Because if you don't do it, then who's going to do it for you? Your mom and dad will not run your company anymore, right? It's you who is running the company. So you got to lose all the fear, and you got to be very brave, and you got to be out there, because you're talking to investors, you're talking to your team, you're talking to your customer, you're talking to everyone. you become chief talking officer eventually. So, so that's
Exactly.
it.
I used to think when I ran companies in the US, my job is anywhere between being a counselor to employees and employees coming to a counseling, customers coming to counseling saying they're not being too helpful to them. We have competitors coming to counseling saying that please don't take our business away. You have all kinds of people coming to counseling, and then on top of that, I'll go to counseling to my auditor and my lawyer saying that please rescue me when when I make a mistake. So it is true that a lot of interactions are required in these kind of jobs to survive, and people particularly are not being stereotyping. People from India aren't very comfortable opening up a conversation as anyone, particularly women, or even more even less comfortable opening up conversations. I tell you that things have changed though. When you go to the campus nowadays, our college girls aren't shy anymore. They're not bashful at all. They it's not the same as before. And as I saw in the statistics in the video, we have more girls than boys in most classes actually. Some of the departments, I think collectively, the computer science has two-thirds girls and one-third guys actually. So they're the majority, right? And so when you go to those classes, then these people are not shy at all, and the culture in CEG is still very very open like before. That you have a culture of people not having to do anything like other colleges do. There are a lot of restrictions in terms of what you wear, how you talk, what you do, etc. There are colleges in India, in Chennai, where people, boys and girls, cannot even talk to each other. Fortunately, we don't have that problem in CEG. So our campus is very different. But if you look at other campuses in India in general, then the point is that the people are not very comfortable talking to strangers, and they tend to be amongst themselves, which doesn't allow you to learn something new because you're going to think the same way and do things the same way. So that's what I want to make. So any more questions? I don't see any questions in the board right now. So I'm assuming that all the questions are exhausted unless somebody had any last question. Anyone? Okay, I think looks like we are done. Mini, thank you so much. We ran a little bit over. I hope it's okay. It's 9:12 p.m. here in India, but it was a good session. I think it's very enjoyable. Very like the session. A lot of good questions, and it's a great thing to do it on International Women's Day. Again, I wish all of you ladies happy International Women's Day. Our CEG Connects is we're doing our best to try and get people together and do things together as well. And this is a good opportunity for us to have this session on this day. So thank you for joining, and thank you for your time. I know you had to fly out to a couple of different cities today. Now I don't envy you anymore because I used to do this and I don't want to do this anymore. It's not an easy game to do this thing. So thank you again for joining. If you have any last points to make, you can say, or otherwise we can close the call.
No, I just want to say thank you, Vish, for organizing this. And may God give you a lot of energy because what you're doing for CET and for us, incredible. And you really you pulled us together. So really thank you for doing this. And Partha really being a great leading on the technical side. And honestly, today was one of the best time that I had is meeting you, talking to questions. I think was incredible. And please, Tara was talking to you as well. And so please do connect. Let's be connected over LinkedIn, WhatsApp. We're all there to support each other. And happy International Women's Day. And have a